Your hands gripped the suitcase tightly, knuckles turning white as you dragged it down the staircase. It wasn't unbearably heavy, but each step made your arms tremble slightly, each step made you groan softly, your face scrunched up from the effort. Today wasn't just any day. Your whole family was leaving for a road trip, and your sister had brought her husband along, and with him his brother. The small inauguration of your newly prepared farmhouse was supposed to be a joyful occasion, only added to your anxiety. Your mind refused to rest, spinning endlessly on one thought, one person, Jungkook. Your heart raced as your mind wandered to him, imagining his teasing smile, the way he teased you mercilessly yet always helped without asking, his gentle care that had always seemed natural, until now, when you realized it wasn't just his nature, it was always meant for you. Suddenly, your focus snapped back to the suitcase when a warm, steady hand brushed over yours, taking some of the weight effortlessly. Jungkook, let me help. His voice was soft, but it made your spine tingle. You froze for a second, your fingers gripping the handle tighter. Your eyes instinctively shot up to meet his, and every thought you had been trying so desperately to push away came rushing back. This morning in the kitchen, his conversation with your sister which you overheard, the realization that he was planning something serious, something for you, the teasing, the little gestures, the way he always tried to make you comfortable. It all made sense now. He was planning to propose. Your stomach flipped again, and your lips parted slightly, trying to form words. You shoved his hand gently away, forcing yourself to act normal. I'll manage, you said, forcing a short, polite smile. Before he could protest, before he could pull the suitcase back to himself, you doubled your effort, almost flying down the stairs as if the bag weighed nothing. You were determined to ignore him, to act like he didn't exist. Your heart screamed against the lies your mouth was telling. You weren't sure of your own feelings, and you didn't want to give him any false hope. Not yet. Jungkook, hey, let me. It looks heavy, but you didn't pause, even for a second. Jungkook stayed on the stairs, his brows furrowed in concern, watching you go. His chest tightened as he took in your hurried movements. The way you tried to hide, your face, your nervousness, your hesitation. He wanted to reach out, to stop you, but he held back, telling himself maybe you were just in a hurry because it was already late. Everyone was already gathered outside the house, the early morning sunlight spilling softly over the driveway. The cool air carried the scent of wet grass and freshly brewed coffee that your mother had packed for the road. The car, a big black SUV, was parked right in front, trunk wide open as Jungkook and Jason, your sister's husband, worked on loading the luggage. Your parents were chatting nearby, checking if everything was packed, while Jason's parents stood by the porch, talking about the farmhouse and how peaceful it was going to be for the next 2 days. You stood a few feet away with your sister, your hand loosely gripping your water bottle, eyes quietly drifting toward your sister. A dull ache of betrayal crept inside your chest. How could she? You never hid anything from her. Not once. But she hid something big. She'd talked to Jungkook about you, about something so important, and didn't say a word to you. You felt cheated. Still, you didn't want to start a scene here, not in front of everyone. So instead, you walked toward her, forcing a light smile. Yin, how do you feel, Emily? She looked up from her phone, her face instantly lighting up. Emily, I feel so good. I'm going to enjoy the next 2 days so much. You folded your arms across your chest, your tone turning subtly sharp, your words dripping with mock sweetness. Yin, yeah, you should, especially when you've already been busy hiding things so well lately. Her brows furrowed, her smile slowly fading. Emily, what? You only shrugged, pretending innocence, watching the confusion on her face with a bit of satisfaction. Yin, oh, nothing. Her lips parted, suspicion flickering in her eyes as if she wanted to ask more. But before she could, Jason's voice cut through the tension. Jason, babe, how's your knee now? Feeling any better? Your head snapped toward her. Yin, what happened to your knee? Emily quickly waved her hand like it was nothing, trying to brush it off. Emily, oh, it's nothing really. But Jason wasn't having it. Jason, nothing? Emily, come on. You twisted your ankle this morning and hit your knee hard on the stairs. It's swollen. Your annoyance immediately turned to concern. You moved closer, your expression softening. Yin, oh my God, Emily, how are you going to enjoy the trip now? You should have stayed home and rested. She gave you a playful glare, clearly embarrassed by Jason's overprotective tone. Emily, it's not that bad, Yin. I'm fine. Jason is just exaggerating. Jason. Exaggerating? You were limping, you sighed, shaking your head. Yin. He's right. You shouldn't push yourself too much. It's just a 2-day trip. Emily groaned, crossing her arms. Emily, you two sound like my parents. Before you could argue more, your father's voice called out from the car window. Are you all going to stand there all day or what? Get in, we're already late. Your mother leaned forward from the passenger seat, adding with her soft but firm tone, come on everyone, we'll talk inside the car. Your eyes drifted toward Jungkook again, though you tried not to make it obvious. He was still standing by the back of the car, sleeves rolled up, carefully loading the last of the luggage into the trunk. His movements were steady, but there was something about the way his jaw flexed that caught your attention. His expression looked a little too calm to composed, like he was deep in thought. You tilted your head slightly, your brows pulling together in confusion. Why does he look like that? He wasn't smiling. Instead, he seemed lost in his thoughts, his gaze lingering on the bags longer than necessary. For a second, your heart picked up its pace, almost as if it already knew he was thinking about you. And then, as if on cue, he looked up. Your breath hitched. His eyes locked with yours instantly. Panicked, you quickly turned your face away, pretending you were just glancing at the car. You could almost feel his eyes on you still, the quiet weight of his attention following your every small move. Your hand went to your hair, tucking a strand behind your ear, your pulse thumping too loudly in your chest. You started walking toward the car, trying to calm your breath, when suddenly your phone dinged. Your eyes dropped down. The screen lit up. Battery 5%. You froze. Oh no, you muttered under your breath. You hadn't charged it last night, and now your power bank was lying somewhere on your bed, completely useless. You looked toward the car. Everyone was already inside except for you and Jungkook. You swallowed and raised your voice, calling out to your mom. Yin, Mom, I'll be right back. I forgot my charger upstairs. Before your mother could even reply, another voice cut in, deeper, familiar enough to make your heart skip. Jungkook, you don't have to go, Yin. I have one. You can use mine. You froze mid-step. His tone was gentle, but there was a hint of hope in it, like he was trying, once again, to break through the invisible wall you had built this morning. But your heart wasn't ready. You hesitated, gripping your phone a little tighter, staring straight ahead instead of turning toward him. You could feel his gaze on you, waiting patiently. The silence stretched for a moment, and then you broke it, but not in the way he hoped. Yin, it's fine. I'll manage. Your voice was casual, but inside, you were a mess. You didn't want to hurt him, but you didn't know how else to stop the growing confusion in your chest. He blinked, taken aback. The faint smile that had started forming on his lips faded instantly. His shoulders tensed as he tilted his head slightly, watching you walk away as if trying to understand what just happened. And then thud, the trunk slammed shut, hard enough that everyone looked back for a second. He stood there with one hand still pressed against the car, his jaw clenched tight. Jungkook rarely gets frustrated. He was always calm, but at that moment, something in his chest cracked a little. He just couldn't stand the sudden distance, the way you treated him like he was invisible after all those soft glances and quiet smiles that once existed between you. He dragged in a deep breath, his knuckles turned white as he lowered his head, whispering under his breath, Jungkook, did I do something? He stood there for a moment longer, trying to make sense of it. Then finally, with one last exhale, he ran his hand through his hair and walked toward the car, the gravel crunching beneath his shoes. Jungkook climbed into the car, settling in beside Emily's seat. The low hum of the engine filled the air, and for a few seconds, everyone was busy adjusting their seats and settling down. Then, Emily looked around, confusion spreading across her face. Emily, wait, she murmured, tilting her head and counting under her breath. It's a 7-seater car, so where will Yin sit? A hush fell inside the car. Jungkook's brows knitted together as his eyes darted from one seat to another. The front passenger seat was already taken by your father, explaining directions to Jason in the driver's seat. The back row was filled too. Your mother sat beside his parents. Beside him was Emily, leaving absolutely no space left for you. He frowned, leaning forward slightly, glancing at the narrow gaps between the seats. The situation was ridiculous. Not even a tiny corner was free. But before he or anyone could speak, your voice came from just outside the car. Yin, where am I gonna sit? Jungkook froze, his head turned towards his right, the open door, and there you were, standing beside him outside, purse handle in one hand, your hair slightly messy from rushing. You looked adorable, but the small crease between your brows showed your confusion. You looked directly at your dad for an answer. Your mom's gentle voice came from the back seat. Just adjust with your sister Yin. It's not that long of a ride. Emily, sitting right beside Jungkook, instantly raised her hands as if in surrender, wincing a little as she bent her knee. Emily, Mom, my leg's still sore, she started, then looked at you with guilt written all over her face. I don't think I'll be comfortable sharing a seat right now. You frowned when you saw a sudden light smirk on her face, but shaking your head you continued. Yin, yes, she's hurt, Mom. I can't make her uncomfortable. You glanced at your father. I'll just take a cab and come later. It's fine. Your dad cut you off with a firm voice that silenced everyone. No, you're not doing that. It's already late. Just adjust somewhere. Yin, Jungkook, help her. Make some space. The moment his name left your father's mouth, Jungkook's lips twitched, the faintest hint of mischief flickering in his eyes. His heart gave an excited thump. The idea that he could help you sent a strange warmth rushing through him. He nodded immediately, suppressing a grin. Jungkook, sure uncle, I'll handle it. You blinked confused. Yin, what will he do, Dad? There's no... You didn't even get the chance to finish your sentence. Before you could step back, Jungkook's strong hands wrapped around your waist, his grip firm but careful. The sudden contact made your heart skip several beats. You gasped, eyes going wide, as in one swift, easy motion. He pulled you forward and guided you onto his lap. Yin, Jungkook, you breathed out, half in shock and half in disbelief. Your body tensed instantly, your hands gripping the side of the door as your mind scrambled to process what just happened. Yin, what the hell are you doing? But before you could push him off, he shut the door firmly. The soft click of the lock sealed your fate. Jungkook leaned back in his seat, his arms resting casually on either side of you, as if nothing unusual had happened. Jungkook, let's go, he said smoothly, his voice calm, almost innocent. Yin is seated. For a second, his eyes lingered on your face, scanning your expression carefully to see if you were uncomfortable. But instead of fear or anger, all he found was the deep red blush spreading across your cheeks. The corner of his lips twitched, and a slow smirk tugged at his face. You turned to him, eyes wide, ready to snap. But then you noticed everyone else. Your father simply nodded from the front seat, not even glancing back. It's just a few hours. We'll reach soon, he said. Your jaw dropped slightly. Yin, a few hours. You glanced around desperately, but everyone seemed oddly fine with it. You could feel everything, every single thing. His chest pressed warmly against your back, rising and falling with each breath. His thighs were solid beneath you, supporting your entire weight like it was nothing. His arm rested lightly around your waist, not too tight but secure enough that you couldn't move without brushing against him. You tried to shift, just a little, but the small movement only made the air thicker between you. Out of the corner of your eye, you saw him, his lips curved in a barely there smirk, his gaze fixed on your flushed profile. He looked far too pleased with himself, and that teasing glint in his eyes only made your pulse race faster. Yin, you're enjoying this, aren't you? His lips twitched, the smirk deepening. Jungkook, not at all, he murmured, voice dripping with amusement. Just helping, as your dad said. You rolled your eyes and turned away, trying to hide your face that was growing hotter by the second. His quiet chuckle brushed against your ear, making your heart flip violently. You clenched your fists, determined not to react, but you could still feel his breath ghosting near your neck. Intentionally, finally, when you couldn't take that smug expression anymore, you turned slightly and pinched his waist, hard. Jungkook, ah, he hissed softly, his hand flying to your fingers, gripping them gently as he bit back a laugh. Jungkook, what was that for? He whispered, his voice half pained, half laughing. You glared at him, trying to sound stern. Yin, idiot. He leaned closer, his voice low and teasing, brushing right against your ear. Jungkook, if this is how the trip's starting, he whispered, I think I'm gonna enjoy it a lot. Your breath caught in your throat. You immediately turned your face away, your heart racing so hard you were sure he could feel it. And just like that, the car rolled out of the driveway. Your pulse stayed stubbornly fast, caught in the rhythm of his heartbeat behind you. It had been over half an hour since the trip began. The soft hum of music filled the car, blending with the rhythm of the moving tires. Emily was sitting beside you, busy on her laptop, occasionally adjusting her glasses. Your parents and Jungkook's were sitting in the back, lost in their own world of gossip and laughter. Your body was still resting lightly against his chest, his arm loosely around your waist, casual, yet not really. You tried not to think about how close you were sitting, focusing instead on the beautiful view outside. The car was driving past a long, glimmering lake that stretched endlessly on one side, the sunlight dancing across its surface. You lifted your phone, pointing it toward the window. The way the golden rays hit the water looked almost unreal. You smiled softly, taking a few pictures, adjusting the angles like you wanted to capture every reflection of light. Jungkook's gaze wasn't on the lake at all. He wasn't even pretending to hide it. His eyes kept shifting from your phone to your face, watching the way your brows furrowed when you tried to get the right angle, the way the sunlight reflected softly off your skin, and the faint smile that curved your lips whenever you managed to capture something you liked. He could feel the warmth of you against him, your scent, your hair brushing against his chin. It was driving him crazy, but he stayed still, silently admiring you like he had all the time in the world. Then, suddenly, you turned to look at him. "Yin, here," you said, handing him your phone. "Take my pictures." Jungkook blinked, slightly caught off guard. For a second, he thought he misheard you. You, the same girl who had been ignoring him since morning, cold glances, short replies, were finally asking him to do something for you. A grin slowly crept across his face. "Jungkook, sure." He straightened up, taking the phone from your hand, his fingers brushing lightly against yours, enough to send a quick jolt through your stomach. You leaned toward the window again, resting your head on your folded arms. The sunlight spilled on your skin, your hair catching the light breeze from the half-open window, swaying gently. Jungkook's breath hitched. You looked so effortlessly beautiful that he forgot what he was supposed to do for a moment. His heart thudded as he leaned closer, one hand reaching up to softly brush a strand of hair away from your face. You didn't move away. Instead, your eyes fluttered shut for a brief second, the warmth of his fingertips grazing your cheek. You just wanted your pictures to come out perfect. At least that's what you told yourself. "Jungkook, don't move," he murmured. You opened your eyes slightly, turning your face towards the lake again, and he began clicking. 1, 2, 3. Each photo came out better than the last. You could feel his gaze linger on you longer than the camera lens did. "Yin, show me." You took the phone from his hands and scrolled through the photos. Your lips curved upward. They were actually really good. You hated to admit it, but he had a talent for this. "Yin, they're actually nice." His eyes sparkled with hope. "Jungkook, really?" You looked up at him, trying to hide your smile. "Yin, no." The way his face fell made you laugh instantly. His lower lip jutted out slightly, his expression so boyishly offended that you couldn't hold it in. "Yin, you want me to click yours?" He looked at you for a moment, then grinned slyly. "Jungkook, with you, yes." You rolled your eyes, trying not to smile again. "Yin, no way. We can't take pictures together. I'm literally on your thighs, Jungkook. They'll come out inappropriate." He smirked, leaning a little closer so his breath brushed against your ear. "Jungkook, who cares?" he murmured. Your heart skipped. He took the phone from your hand, tapping the screen as he added with a playful grin, "We'll just set them as private." Before you could even protest, he leaned back, his arm naturally finding its place around your waist. Before you could even process what was happening, he pulled you flush against him, his chin resting on your shoulder as he lifted the phone. You froze for a second, but then, slowly, it started to feel comfortable. His arm around your waist felt protective, not forced. It was strange. You had expected this closeness to make you uncomfortable, but it didn't. Instead, it felt safe. It felt like he was in love, and for a brief moment, you let yourself believe it too. The camera clicked. "Jungkook, smile," he murmured near your ear, his voice soft but teasing. You tried to fight the flutter in your chest but gave in, letting a small shy smile slip onto your lips. Jungkook chuckled quietly as he captured the moment. One photo turned into another, and then another, changing the angles slightly, sometimes leaning his head closer to yours, sometimes adjusting your hair with his free hand. You were about to ask him to stop when Emily suddenly turned around, her face lighting up from her laptop. "Emily, take me in too," she exclaimed excitedly. Reaching out, you both laughed, that light, genuine kind of laugh that made your chest warm. Jungkook leaned slightly forward so Emily could fit into the frame, and soon, the car was filled with laughter and silly faces as you three clicked a few more pictures together. But just then, the car jerked sharply over a big speed breaker. "Yin, ah," you gasped, your body lurching forward. Before you could even process what was happening, Jungkook's reflexes kicked in. His arms tightened instantly around you, pulling you flush against his chest, while his other hand shot up, covering your head protectively before it could hit the car roof. His hand took the impact instead, the dull thud echoing in your ears. "Jungkook, are you okay?" he asked quickly, his voice filled with concern. You blinked, your heart pounding, realizing how tightly he was still holding you. You just nodded faintly, muttering under your breath, quiet enough for only yourself, or at least that's what you thought. "I'm so uncomfortable." But he heard it. His expression shifted immediately, his brows furrowed, his lips parting in confusion. "Jungkook, does it hurt?" he asked gently, his palm brushing over your hair to check for any bump. The tenderness in his voice made your chest ache. God, what was he doing? The more you tried to distance yourself, the more he found ways to pull you closer, not just physically, but emotionally too. You reached for his hand and gently pushed it away. "Yin, stop," you murmured. "I am okay." You didn't even finish the sentence. You just turned toward the window, focusing on the trees rushing past outside, refusing to show him your face or the mess of emotions twisting inside you. He wanted to say something, you could sense it, but he didn't. The silence that followed was strange, heavy yet comforting in some odd way. 10 minutes later, the quiet rhythm of the road and the lull of the car began to pull at your eyelids. Your head grew heavier, and before you knew it, you were drifting off. Jungkook noticed first, the way your body relaxed, the way your head started slipping to the side. He looked down at you, his heart softening at the sight. Carefully, he reached out and guided your head back toward his chest, making sure you were comfortable. His hand lingered on your hair, brushing through it gently as he smiled to himself. Emily noticed and shot him a teasing side-eye, but he couldn't notice. His entire focus was on the girl sleeping peacefully in his arms. "Jungkook, be comfortable," he whispered quietly, almost to himself, as his fingers continued to move tenderly through your hair. Time passed, and the car was soon filled with the sound of quiet chatter from the back seats again. The light outside changed, and the destination began to appear in the distance. The noise gradually stirred you awake. You blinked, your lashes fluttering as your head lifted from Jungkook's chest. For a moment, you were disoriented, still caught between sleep and reality. "Yin, oh, we're about to reach," you mumbled, your voice groggy. Jungkook was already watching you. "Jungkook, yeah," he said softly, reaching down to grab your water bottle. He unscrewed the cap and handed it to you, his tone gentle. "Drink." You took it, leaning one arm lazily on his shoulder, yawning as you looked out the window. The farmhouse came into view, and surrounded by open green fields. "Yin, how long was I sleeping?" you asked, rubbing your eyes. "Jungkook, not long," he said with a small chuckle. He was lying. You had been asleep for nearly 40 minutes. You tilted your head back slightly, sipping from the bottle, the cool water soothing your dry throat. After a minute, you handed it back to him, not bothering to ask where the cap was. The car finally slowed to a stop, pulling into the farmhouse driveway. "Jungkook, you look tired," you hummed faintly, still half asleep. The last thing you remembered was the warmth of his hand in your hair, that slow, gentle motion that made sleep feel even sweeter. You blinked your drowsy eyes open, and quickly looked away, pretending to fix your hair as you reached for the car door. The moment your hand touched the handle, Jungkook's heart sank just a little. You were getting up from his lap, and for him, it felt like the warmth in his chest vanished with you. Those few hours, where you'd been peacefully asleep against his chest, had been some of the most quiet yet perfect moments he'd ever had with you. He watched as you stepped out, brushing the wrinkles off your dress, tucking a loose strand of hair behind your ear. You looked so unaware, like you didn't even realize how much that simple closeness had meant to him. The soft breeze brushed over the open lawn as the night stretched lazily across the sky. The small wooden table in the middle of your circle was cluttered, half-empty soda cans, snack wrappers, and a bottle that had been spinning for what felt like hours. You sat cross-legged on the grass, brushing off the tiny bits of leaves stuck to your jeans. The laughter from moments ago still lingered, but the energy had softened now. Everyone was tired after a long, fun day at the farmhouse. You'd explored the garden, played games, helped set up dinner, and now this, one last game before bed. Jason leaned forward with a grin that said he was up to something. "Jason, okay," he said, rubbing his hands dramatically. "Last round of truth or dare, then we all go crash in our rooms," Emily groaned, laying her chin on her knee. "Emily, finally, if I laugh one more time, I might actually pass out." You chuckled softly, adjusting your sweater sleeves, your eyes briefly catching Jungkook's from across the circle. He was sitting opposite you, one arm lazily draped over his knee, the other tracing small circles on the grass. His expression was calm, too calm, but his eyes told a different story. They flickered to you again and again, as though pulled by some invisible magnet. Every time you tucked your hair behind your ear or looked down shyly, his lips would twitch like he was fighting a smile. He had been doing it the whole night, staring when he thought you weren't noticing. But you did notice, and it was driving you crazy. Emily spun the bottle dramatically. It twirled fast at first, then slowed down with a faint rattle before stopping, right in front of you. Emily clapped her hands, excitement sparking instantly. Emily, finally, Yin. It's been ages since it landed on you. You smiled nervously, your palms resting on your knees. Yin, make it a good one then, you said, trying to sound casual, even though your heart had already picked up its pace. Emily looked at Jason mischievously. There was something in her grin that made you instantly suspicious. Jason smirked back and leaned closer, resting his elbows on his knees. His tone was teasing, but the question wasn't light. Jason, all right then, Yin. You said earlier you don't have a boyfriend, but tell me, do you love someone? The laughter and soft chatter that had been filling the air suddenly died down. The world seemed to shrink into silence. You froze, your fingers stopped moving, you blinked, caught off guard by the question, and your eyes instinctively darted around the circle, anywhere but at him. Emily's eyebrows lifted with interest, her lips curling into a teasing smirk. Emily, ooh, that's a good one. You swallowed hard. The truth clawed at your throat. You didn't even know the answer completely yourself. Or maybe you did but didn't want to say it aloud, because saying it would make it real. Your heart thudded painfully in your chest as you hesitated. And then, before you could stop yourself, your eyes lifted, just for a second, and landed on Jungkook. He was already looking at you, his gaze soft, but burning. It felt like time paused between you both. All you could feel was the way his eyes were quietly asking you something, and how you were silently answering it without saying a word. You looked down immediately, your cheeks flushing. You took a shaky breath, and then quietly, almost like you were talking to yourself, you said, Yin, I do. Jason's jaw dropped instantly. Emily's mouth formed a perfect O of surprise. Emily, wait, what? You do? Jason chuckled, trying to hide the grin spreading across his face. Jason, I knew it. I knew there was someone. But Jungkook didn't move. He didn't smile. He just sat there, completely still. His heart was beating too fast for him to even fake a reaction. He wanted to ask, is it me? But he couldn't. He didn't want to make a fool of himself, didn't want to read too much into a simple truth from a silly game. Still, he couldn't tear his gaze away from you. Every word you said, every small movement, it all pulled him deeper. Before anyone could say anything more, a deep voice came from the farmhouse window. Dad, all right everyone? Time to sleep. We have to wake up early tomorrow, remember? Jason turned, raising his voice slightly. Jason, yes, Dad? We're just finishing up. He shot a knowing look toward Emily, clearly wanting to leave you and Jungkook a few moments alone. But before they could even stand, you were already on your feet. You brushed off your jeans quickly, muttered a quiet goodnight, and walked toward the house, not daring to look back even once. Jungkook watched you go, his eyes following every step until the door closed behind you. Emily sighed softly, glancing at Jungkook. Emily, well, that was interesting. Jason laughed under his breath, getting up and stretching. Jason, yeah, guess the truth really was worth the last round. But Jungkook didn't respond. His mind was elsewhere, still stuck on that tiny look you gave him before you said, I do. He leaned back on his palms, gazing at the empty farmhouse door, and smiled faintly to himself, unsure, nervous, but hopeful. You paced in your room back and forth, your hands tangled in your hair as your mind screamed at you. What was the need to say yes? The question echoed over and over inside your head. You could still see Jungkook's face, that look in his eyes when you said yes. It wasn't just surprise, it was disbelief, like he couldn't trust what he'd heard. You stopped in the middle of the room, pressing your palm against your forehead. Yin, why did I even? You muttered under your breath, frustrated. But before you could finish that thought, there was a knock on the door. You froze instantly. Your thoughts were spinning, faster and faster, until a sudden knock at the door made you freeze. You stopped in your tracks, your pulse quickening instantly. You already knew who it might be at this hour. You stood there for a second, holding your breath, your eyes locked on the door as if it might burst open. Another knock came. You swallowed hard, your throat dry. Every step you took toward the door felt was like your body was moving on its own while your mind screamed, don't open it. You stopped right before the door, hesitated for a second, then cracked it open, just enough to see his face through the narrow slit. And there he was, Jungkook. He stood there, leaning against the doorframe with one hand in his pocket, his dark eyes searching your face. His hair fell slightly over his forehead, and that calm, unreadable look on his face made your stomach twist. Yin, what do you want? You asked, trying to sound unaffected. Jungkook tilted his head slightly, lowering himself a bit to your level. Jungkook, can we talk? He asked. You hummed under your breath, keeping the door only half open, not enough to let him in. Yin, we can talk like this, you said quickly. Jungkook, let me in. You shook your head immediately. You knew if you let him inside, he'd say something you weren't ready to hear. Yin, I said we can talk like this, you insisted. For a moment, he didn't say anything. Then, in a soft, coaxing voice that sent a shiver down your spine, he whispered, Jungkook, please Yin. That tone, it always got you. You sighed, your shoulders dropping in defeat. Without another word, you opened the door wider and stepped back, allowing him to enter. Jungkook walked in quietly, his gaze sweeping around your room before returning to you. As soon as the door clicked shut behind him, you felt your pulse quicken again. You crossed your arms tightly over your chest. Yin, what do you want? Jungkook. He bit his lower lip briefly, his eyes not leaving your face. Then, in a low voice that sent heat crawling up your neck, he said, Jungkook, you know what I want. You took a small step back instinctively, but he followed, slow, unhurried steps that made your breath hitch. Jungkook, stop moving Yin, he murmured, his tone carrying a hint of teasing warning. You froze but didn't stop. When you took another step back, ignoring his words, his arm suddenly wrapped around your waist, pulling you flush against him. You gasped softly, your hands instinctively going to his chest. But before you could push him away, he caught your wrists and gently locked them behind your back. Your breath got caught somewhere in your throat. Now, your chest was pressed against his, your heartbeat wild and uncontrollable. Jungkook, why are you ignoring me since morning? He asked quietly, his voice brushing against your ear. You avoided his gaze, trying to wriggle out of his hold. Yin, I'm not, you said quickly, your tone defensive. I don't think so. He let out a quiet chuckle, low and teasing. Jungkook, oh, yes, you are. Your brows furrowed and you glared up at him, flustered. Yin, I was sitting on you for the whole damn ride, Jungkook. How can I possibly ignore you? Now let me go. For a second, he looked like he was about to laugh. Instead, he sighed softly, his grip loosened, but only for a moment. You thought he was going to release you, but before you could move away, his arms wrapped around you again, this time gently, almost protectively, pulling you closer until his chest was pressed against your cheek. Your eyes widened when you felt him bury his face into the crook of your neck. His warm breath brushed against your skin, and your knees went weak instantly. Yin, Jungkook, you whispered, your voice trembling slightly. Jungkook, you know what I'm saying, Yin, he murmured. I know something's going on in your head. I can feel it, and I know you're lying. You froze in his hold. The warmth of his breath brushed your ear as he spoke again, slower this time, his tone softer, like he was afraid of scaring you away. Jungkook, I don't feel good when you ignore me, Yin, he said, his thumb tracing small circles on your back. I know you didn't ignore me in the car, but don't tell me you weren't thinking about something the whole time. He tilted his head slightly, his eyes locked on your face. You were acting all casual, pretending nothing was wrong, but I could literally see your goosebumps, hear your heartbeat, feel you shiver. He leaned in closer, his voice dropping into a whisper. Jungkook, tell me, am I lying? Your throat tightened. You couldn't speak, because every word that left his mouth was true. You looked away, your chest rising and falling fast. And that was all the answer he needed. Jungkook's voice softened even more. Jungkook, I know you're trying to push me away, he said, brushing a loose strand of hair from your face. And I think I know why. Your eyes snapped up to meet his. Yin, why? Jungkook, I know Emily must have. You cut him off before he could finish, your panic spilling out faster than your thoughts. Yin, no, it wasn't Emily. His brows furrowed, confusion flickering in his eyes. It was me. He blinked, his hold loosening slightly. Jungkook, you nodded slowly, guilt filling your chest. Yin, I'm sorry, Jungkook. I overheard your conversation with Emily this morning. For a moment, he didn't react. His eyes widened slightly, then softened, the realization hitting him. Jungkook, so you heard everything. You nodded again, unable to meet his gaze. Jungkook, but why? He said quietly, his tone mixed with confusion and something else. Hurt. Why would you ignore me because of that? A small embarrassed smile tugged at his lips, almost like he was laughing at his own pain. Maybe he thought you didn't like him the same way. Maybe he thought you were pretending to be kind so he wouldn't feel rejected. His hands slipped weakly from your waist. Your heart panicked instantly. You didn't want him to misunderstand. Without thinking, you wrapped your arms tightly around his waist, holding him close before he could step away. He froze for a second, surprised by the sudden warmth of your embrace. Yin, look, you whispered against his chest, your voice soft and desperate. I know I shouldn't have ignored you like that, but I was nervous. I didn't know what to do after hearing you. I wasn't even sure about my own feelings, and I didn't want to give you any wrong hope. He looked down at you silently. Then, slowly, his hand lifted to your face. His fingers brushed gently along your cheek, his touch warm and soft, like he was afraid you'd disappear if he wasn't gentle enough. Jungkook, I love you, Yin, he said quietly, his thumb resting beneath your chin, tilting your face up to meet his eyes. I'm not trying to rush you or force you into anything. I want to make you comfortable. I want you to open up to me about what you really feel. You swallowed hard, your heart thudding against your ribs. Yin, I know, you said softly, and I'm sorry I chose to ignore you. It wasn't fair. You lowered your gaze, your fingers fidgeting at the hem of his shirt. Yin, it's just, I've never been in a relationship before. I don't know what it's supposed to feel like. I don't know what I'm supposed to do when someone says they love me. You looked up at him again, your eyes trembling but honest. But I do know this. I've been feeling the same way, Jungkook. He slipped his fingers under your chin, tilting your face gently so your eyes locked with his. His thumb traced small, soothing circles over your jawline. Every motion carried a weight of unspoken words, of patience, of a love that had been waiting to be confirmed. Jungkook, it's okay. Tell me, he murmured. How? What do you feel the same? Yin, same, you whispered, your voice trembling just enough to make him lean closer. Like now, my heart is racing. Goosebumps, shivers, it's not new. His lips parted slightly, then closed again, as if savoring the sound of your confession. A small, almost imperceptible shiver ran down his spine, but inside, his heart was melting. Yin, I've been feeling like that with you for so long now, you admitted, your voice barely audible, and I thought it was normal, like you're my friend, like you're part of my family, your words stumbled, and you fell silent, unsure how to finish. Yin, sorry, you whispered, your lips barely moving. You looked up at him, expecting maybe judgment, maybe teasing, but instead, he smiled, a blush creeping up his cheeks, his ears tinting pink as he looked at you. His smile wasn't just warmth, it was awe. Jungkook, it just means, you love me, Yin, he said softly, his voice firm but gentle. You love me too. Yin, yes, you admitted, voice quivering, eyes fixed on the floor. I do. That's what I said during the game. A soft, amused chuckle escaped him, his shoulders shaking slightly at how serious you sounded. Jungkook, you know, you're actually so adorable, Yin, he said, voice low, warm, teasing but tender. Can I kiss you? Yin, yes, you admitted, voice quivering, eyes fixed on the floor. I do. That's what I said during the game. A soft, amused chuckle escaped him, his shoulders shaking slightly at how serious you sounded. Jungkook, you know, you're actually so adorable, Yin, he said, voice low, warm, teasing but tender. Can I kiss you? Your hands curled instinctively into his back, gripping him as your pulse quickened. His hands moved into your hair, running through the soft strands, brushing your neck, lingering along your shoulders. Your breath hitched, and despite every attempt to resist, you leaned closer, tilting your face up in silent permission. He hovered for a second, pressing his nose to yours, just enough to feel the warmth, the intimate pause. Jungkook, can I have your words, please? His dark eyes searched yours, trying to read your hesitation, your shyness. He wanted to hear you ask for it, to confirm the connection that had been building between you. Yin, yes, please, do it. The words, simple as they were, sent a jolt through him. Your permission, your consent, your desire. It was everything he had wanted. Without another word, he leaned closer, his chest brushing against yours, and their lips met. At first, it was soft, exploratory, but soon, it deepened naturally, instinctively, as if your lips had been waiting for this moment for a long time. A surge of heat swept through your body, your knees weakened under you, your fingers digging into his shoulders for support. Pleasures you hadn't expected coursed through you, and tiny sounds escaped your throat. Each noise seemed to echo between you two, and Jungkook responded immediately, one hand sliding around your waist to pull you impossibly closer, pressing your body to his, while the other rested lightly on your shoulder, moving intermittently to stroke your hair, your cheek, and the nape of your neck. Your body reacted instinctively to his, shifting, tilting, pressing back against him. He slowed the rhythm just enough for you to match him, letting you find a comfortable pace. He pulled back just slightly, enough to let his forehead rest against yours, lips still brushing yours lightly as he whispered, "Jungkook, Yin, I've wanted this, to feel this, with you for so long." You gasped softly, cheeks burning, your hair falling over your face as you leaned more and more into him. Carefully, Jungkook guided you back toward the bed, making sure you were completely supported. He lowered you down slowly, making you lie on your back, his eyes never leaving yours. The kiss broke for a fraction of a second, and his heart skipped a beat, seeing your lips swollen, your eyes half-lidded, your expression hypnotized. It made his chest tighten with desire. Before he could even think, you pulled him back toward you, your lips meeting his again with urgency. The feelings you had locked inside your chest for so long finally found an outlet. The kiss deepened, hungry and passionate, yet in some moments, it softened into tender pecks, allowing you both to breathe, to savor the closeness. "Jungkook, I love you, Yin. I love you so much." A smile curved on your lips, swollen and warm from the kiss. You pressed another soft peck against his mouth before speaking, "Yin, I love you more. Jungkook, I love you so much." He couldn't stop the smile that spread across his face. His nose brushed gently against yours. Jungkook shifted slightly, careful, and wrapped you in his arms, pulling you closer on the bed. His hands held your body against his as he asked, "Jungkook, can I sleep here with you?" You didn't hesitate, nodding instantly. You reached for the blanket, draping it over both of you, letting him settle fully into your warmth. "Yin, you can," you whispered, snuggling into his chest instantly. As you lay there, the comfort of his arms around you, the world outside melted away. You talked quietly, sharing memories, moments, and all the little things that made your feelings grow for each other. He held you so tightly, patting your back, and slowly, you realized it was the comfort of his arms that made you feel safe. It was him, his presence, his heartbeat, the way he breathed against you. The room faded into soft shadows, the blanket warm around you both, and soon, the soothing rhythm of his embrace lulled you into sleep. For the first time in so long, you felt completely at ease, held, loved, and cherished in a way only Jungkook could make you feel. The morning spilled softly into the room, golden sunlight sneaking past the curtains and painting the walls with warmth. The air was quiet except for the faint rustle of sheets and the steady rhythm of breathing. You and Jungkook were lying tangled together in the coziest position imaginable, his arm draped securely across your chest, the other beneath your head like a pillow. Your back rested against the mattress, while he was half over you, his chin tucked perfectly above your forehead. His legs were lazily tangled with yours under the blanket, and every few seconds, his thumb brushed unconsciously against your arm. You both should have been awake by now. Your father had clearly told everyone to rise early for the trip to the nearby waterfall, but neither of you moved. The warmth between you was too peaceful, too perfect to let go of. Then, the door creaked open. You both didn't stir. You were too deep in sleep, too lost in that soft warmth. The bedroom door closed slightly. Footsteps padded in. Emily's lazy voice filled the silence. "Emily, Yin, have you seen Jungkook? He's not in his." Her voice broke off mid-sentence. She froze in her place. For a long moment, she didn't even blink. Her hand that was holding her phone fell to her side, and her mouth dropped open in shock. There you both were, deeply asleep, wrapped in each other like two puzzle pieces that just fit. Emily's jaw fell wider. Her eyes darted from you to Jungkook, then back again. "Emily, oh my god," she moaned silently. She rubbed her eyes, once, twice, but the scene didn't disappear. Her lips curled up, her cheeks puffed as she tried not to squeal, and her body shook slightly with excitement. She couldn't hold it in. She tiptoed backward, then rushed out of the room. A few seconds later, she was back, dragging Jason by the wrist. Jason stumbled in, his hair a mess. "Jason, why are you?" And then he saw it. His entire expression changed, from confusion to pure disbelief. His eyebrows shot up, his eyes widened, and he mouthed, "No way." Jason whispered under his breath, almost grinning. "They're seriously sleeping like that?" They're so fast. It was literally just yesterday. Emily slapped his arm before he could finish. Her eyes were wide, finger pressed to her lips. Emily, shh. Keep your voice down, Jason. You'll wake them up. Jason rubbed his arm. Jason, but we have to wake them, Dad said. Emily, we're not waking them up. Jason, look at them. Jason followed her gaze again. The two of you looked peaceful. Jason sighed, whispering, Jason, okay fine. They do look kinda cute. But wait till Mom or Dad sees this. He stopped mid-sentence when they both heard footsteps from the hallway again. Emily, oh no, she whispered, panicked. The door opened wider. A soft gasp filled the air. It was Jungkook's mother. Her eyes went wide instantly. She froze in the doorway, her hand flying up to her chest as her jaw fell open. Who is this man? She began, her voice too loud. Jason jumped in a panic, whispering harshly, Jason, Mom, listen. But she didn't even look at him. She stepped closer, as if she couldn't believe her eyes. Her eyes were glued to the bed, to the sight of her son, Jungkook, sleeping peacefully with you in his arms. Her lips parted slightly, her brows knitted together, and a whisper escaped her without thinking, oh dear Lord, he's really holding her like that. Emily's face was bright red now. She grabbed Jungkook's mother's arm quickly. Emily, Mom, please, come outside. We can talk there. But Jungkook's mother whispered, still staring, is something going on between them? Jason groaned softly, grabbing her other shoulder. Jason, Mom, please, we'll talk outside, okay? Finally, with much difficulty, they all tiptoed out of the room, three of them half panicked, half delighted, and closed the door as quietly as possible. The soft hum of chatter filled the living room, laughter with soft sounds of clinking cups. Everyone was already ready to leave for the waterfall trip, dressed in casual summer clothes and waiting for only two people, you and Jungkook. You stood at the edge of the hallway, hidden halfway behind the wall. Your heart was pounding so hard you could hear it in your ears. You peeked out again and saw both families gathered in the living room, your father sitting with a cup of coffee, Jungkook's mother chatting with yours, Emily and Jason whispering something to each other while giggling. They were all waiting. You pressed your hand against your chest. Yin, oh God, this is bad, you whispered under your breath. Next to you, Jungkook leaned casually against the wall, arms crossed, looking way too calm for someone who was about to walk into a room full of people who definitely knew something. He tilted his head, glancing down at you. Jungkook, what are you thinking? Let's go in, he said, his tone low and relaxed. You immediately shook your head, tugging on the hem of his t-shirt to stop him. Yin, no wait, Jungkook. He looked down at your hand, then at your panicked face, his lips curled into a faint smile. Jungkook, why, what's wrong? He asked, straightening slightly, his voice softening when he noticed the nervous look in your eyes. You took a deep breath, looking up at him. Yin, we're already late, Jungkook. What are we even going to tell them? They're all waiting for us. They'll definitely think something happened, you whispered, clutching his shirt tighter. His smile deepened as he watched you ramble. You looked adorably flustered, your cheeks pink and your hair still slightly messy from rushing earlier. He gently lifted his hand, cupping your cheek so tenderly that you froze in place. Jungkook, sweetheart, he whispered, his thumb brushing your skin in slow, lazy circles. Relax, it's okay. You shook your head again. Yin, no, it's not okay. My dad told everyone to be ready by 8. It's almost 10. What if they? Before you could finish, Jungkook leaned down and pressed a small kiss to the tip of your nose. Your words died instantly. Your eyes widened, and you instinctively looked away, heat flooding your face. Yin, Jungkook, you whispered, your voice almost a breath. He grinned a little, whispering close to your ear. Jungkook, then maybe we should just tell them. His voice was low, teasing. What's there to hide anymore? You stared at him, speechless, your heart beating like a drum. Before you could reply, a sharp voice cut through the living room. Well, we can see both of you hiding there. Come out fast, Jungkook, YN exclamation mark double quotes. It was Jungkook's mother. Your jaw dropped. Yin, she saw us, you whispered, mortified. Jungkook let out a dramatic gasp beside you, pretending to be shocked. Jungkook, we've been caught, he whispered with fake horror, covering his mouth playfully. You smacked his arm. Yin, this isn't funny. He laughed under his breath, clearly enjoying your panic. Jungkook, come on, he said softly, grabbing your hand. Mom already saw us. No point in hiding. Your fingers twitched in his hold, but he didn't let go. His palm was warm, and the way his fingers intertwined with yours made your stomach flutter. As you both stepped into the living room, everyone turned at once. The room went quiet for a few seconds, quiet enough for you to hear the faint ticking of the clock. Jungkook didn't hesitate. He walked in confidently, still holding your hand, his thumb brushing over your knuckles in slow reassurance. You tried to pull away once or twice, but he didn't let you. Emily's mouth slowly curved into a mischievous grin. Jason's eyebrows shot up. Your father leaned back in his chair, clearly holding back a smirk. The silence broke when your father spoke. "Oh well," he said with that teasing tone only parents could master. "I heard you both had a good sleep last night. You froze in your spot, your body stiffened, and you could feel the heat rushing to your face." Jungkook's head whipped toward your dad, his smile vanishing in an instant. A doubt lingered in his mind. What if you both had already been caught sleeping together? His heart skipped a beat, his face showing clear confusion. "Jungkook, what?" he said quickly, blinking. "What do you mean, a good sleep?" Before your father could answer, Jungkook's dad stood up, clapping his hands together. All right, let's not make a big deal out of this. We're already late," he said cheerfully, looking at everyone with a huge grin. "Cheers to the new couple in the house." Your stomach dropped. New couple? The entire room erupted, claps, laughter, and playful shouts filling the air. You wanted to disappear into the floor. Jungkook rubbed the back of his neck, looking around in disbelief. "Jungkook, wait, how? How do you all even know about that?" he asked, his voice rising a little. Emily folded her arms, smiling like she'd been waiting for this moment. "Emily, oh, does that matter now?" "Jungkook, relax," she said. "Don't worry, no one saw you two sleeping together." Jason snorted, leaning forward. "Jason, yeah, no one saw it. I mean, same bed, same blanket, totally invisible." "Jungkook, Jason," he said, warningly, narrowing his eyes. The whole room burst into laughter. You instantly hid behind Jungkook, clutching the back of his shirt, your face buried against him. He chuckled softly when he felt you hide. Emily laughed so hard she nearly fell onto the couch. "Emily, Yin's face is redder than a tomato." Your father shook his head, trying not to laugh. "Ah, young love," he muttered, taking another sip of his coffee. He tightened his hold on your hands and started walking you toward the door. "Jungkook, let's go. Aren't we already late?" he said louder this time, addressing the group. As you both hurried out of the living room, still hand in hand, Emily called from behind with a mischievous grin. "Emily, oh Jungkook, you might have to let her sit on your lap again. There's no space in the car." You groaned loudly, turning back just enough to glare at her. "Yin, Emily, shut up already." The laughter that followed trailed behind you as Jungkook pulled you outside. You exhaled deeply, trying to calm your racing heart, while Jungkook's hand still held yours. He looked at you with that same playful, affectionate look, the one that always made your chest warm. And even though you were embarrassed beyond words, you couldn't help but smile too.